Welcome back to College Conversations. I'm Dr. Fedor, and I help you navigate college. Please remember to hit subscribe, like, and share this video with other students who also might find it helpful. For more detailed help navigating college, please check out my course on Udemy, College 101, How College Works. I have many students ask me about how to get started writing a paper and what they should write about and so forth. So today I have Adam Stemple, award-winning author, poet, and musician, here to talk to us about why keeping things simple is sometimes the best. Thanks for joining me, Adam.
My pleasure. I sent out an essay I wrote the other day, which seemed to really resonate with people, called Simplicity Itself. And it was all about my experience in a number of different fields and how keeping it simple is usually the best way to go. I, not so many years ago, was a poker player and a poker coach teaching other people to play. And what I would tell people is that there's a very simple way to beat poker, and that is you put in money when you're winning and you don't put in money when you're losing.
What if you're bluffing?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Bluffing, it falls into the area of other considerations. Because what I'd say, absent other considerations,
Right.
You should play poker exactly like that in the simplest way possible. Sometimes there are other considerations, and that's where bluffing comes in and a number of different things. But anytime you're stepping away from that simple solution, you're actually beginning to cause problems. As I went on to other things, I found that in kind of other areas of life that it is usually easier to start from a place of simplicity. And I learned that in writing. When I wrote my first novel, I had a very complicated structure and I got stuck after about 5 chapters.
Yeah.
And I was just jammed up completely, couldn't write another sentence. So I called my mother, who is also a writer and a very accomplished writer with over 400 books out and a room full of awards. And so she listened to me talk about this complicated structure that started in the middle and then in flashback told other stuff and then went forward from there. And she kind of thought about all that and then said, have you tried starting at the beginning and writing it through to the end? It can sound overly simplistic, which the best advice often can. But, this was coming from a very accomplished author. So I actually thought about it, and it resonated with me in the way that the poker thing resonated with me, in that absent other considerations, a story is usually best told by starting at the beginning and writing it through to the end. It's the way stories have been told since the dawn of time. Now, there's a lot of fun in the other considerations with funky structures, and some things can't be told in order. Detective fiction is all about an entire half of the story happens before the detective shows up that you don't hear about to the end. So it's all this other stuff. But in general, telling it in the simplest way possible is the best way to get it across.
What I see happen with students is they will have a writing assignment, they'll have a prompt, and then the assignment will say the paper needs to be 10 to 15 pages or something like that. And then it's like they get their point across in the first 4 or 5 pages. And then after that, they're adding in fluff. They're not really adding to what they said. There's something to be said about being concise and so forth. But what do you say when you have to add more pages, but you're also trying to keep it simple? It seems like opposite advice.
I knew this question was going to come up, so I gave it a lot of thought, because how do we turn this around to
Adam, you can read my mind.
That's right. Writing papers for college, it has to be 10 to 15 pages long, is a compelling other consideration. To make it longer, it is not a compelling consideration to the quality and the stuff of the paper. So if it has to be 10 to 15 pages and you've only got 5 pages worth of material, you have to go and you have to make another compelling reason for it to be longer. You have to come up with subtopics. You have to expand on some details in there. You have to expand your original idea so that it covers. You can't just fill it out because it has to be longer, feels like a compelling reason, but it's not. Right. So you need to come up with a compelling reason for it to go beyond those 5 pages. A little bit of a mental exercise, but it gets you out of trying to write to 10 pages and trying to have something to say for 10 pages. And it's a real mental shift. But once you get to that, then you simply tell 10 pages worth of material because now you have an idea that can fill all that.
As a professor, I would rather read a concise, this is my point in 5 pages, but we still need to have those assignments periodically that are, 10 to 15 pages. And in some cases, longer than that. Is that what is behind poetry, sort of the brevity, getting a point across with very few words, but big meaning?
Writing poetry is very fun specifically for that. I always say that poetry is the closest I come to getting a pure idea on the page, because you've stripped everything else out, but you're kind of implying all this crazy stuff. Because when you have an idea, there's a lot more implied that will never get to the page, because your idea is resonating in emotion and senses and all this other stuff that you're trying to translate into words. And so poetry really tries to compress that. It's almost like a compressed file where I'm trying to write this very small thing, which then will go into the reader and
Right.
expand into something much bigger.
Oh, that's a great analogy. Other areas of life or work where keeping it simple works best?
Any creative endeavor. I've done a lot of music recording. Inevitably comes a point when you're now adding too many things to the song. You're adding too many instruments and it's just becoming cluttered. How far detailed you do a to-do list. I like to keep it pretty broad because things are going to change during the day. Anything that gives you room to improvise.
Adam, thanks so much for sharing this advice with us. All of us can heed this advice in many areas of our life, keeping it simple. Please remember to hit subscribe and like, and remember to keep learning.